So, this edge rusher class for 2021 is generally seen as nothing special overall by, let's just say, draft media. They say that there's not that one big talent at the top that kind of anchors the whole class like in past years with Myles Garrett or the Bosa brothers, Chase Young. I guess you could go back to Jadeveon Clowney and Khalil Mack, Bradley Chubb, all of those kinds of names. They say that there's not that one guaranteed star at the very top of the food chain. But honestly, I don't really agree with that, because the more I watch Jaelan Phillips from Miami, the more I think he's not just the best pass rusher in this class, I think he stacks up well against all of the other alpha pass rushers that have come out in the last 6 or 7 years. In fact, I would go so far as to say that my closest comparison to Jaelan Phillips on tape are two of the best pass rushers in the entire league right now that both happen to be all pros, and they both happen to be in the same family, JJ Watt and TJ Watt. Now, those comps can be a little bit tricky for some people because Jalen is obviously not as big as JJ, he's about 20 pounds shy of that, and he's significantly bigger than TJ, so he's somewhere in between both of them. But stylistically speaking, in terms of how he uses all of his incredible physical gifts like burst, bend, length, and strength, the way he uses those tools is very similar to both of the Watts. In particular, there are 3 things that I really noticed when watching him that just scream, I am a Watt brother. Number 1, his aggressive, penetrating style of playing against the run. Number 2, his versatility as a pass rusher and how he sets up tackles with certain moves that then open up opportunities to counter off of those moves later in the game. And number 3, how he adapts his technique against tackles that kind of have his number so that he can have more and more success against them as the game goes on. Let's start with run defense, which I know to most people isn't sexy, but trust me, the way that he plays the run is sexy because he tends to generate a shitload of tackles for loss with his aggression. When you watch both JJ and TJ, they also have incredible change of direction skills and instincts, and those 2 things kind of allow them to freelance a little bit in how they play against the run. In particular, they both like to do what's called backdooring a block, especially if it's like a reach block to their side or any kind of block that tries to attack their outside shoulder and drive them down the field to either create an edge or a cutback lane for a running back. And instead of holding that front side edge and forcing everything back the other way, like most edge players are taught to do, they will go through the proverbial back door against the grain of that block and shoot upfield to just immediately get in the running back's path and try to get a tackle for loss. It's risky, mind you, because if you don't succeed and the linebackers behind you don't cover your ass and get outside for you, you basically just give the offense the edge for free. But again, because of how instinctive and how athletic the Watt brothers are, most of the time when they go backdoor on a reach block, they make the play. Jaelan Phillips plays the run the exact same way, and he tends to get the exact same results. His fluidity, explosiveness, and aggressiveness generates a ton of disruption, and it routinely destroys runs to his side. Now, there are times, as I said, where the linebackers can't quite cover for him and get outside when he tries to backdoor the block inside, and so the entire defense kind of loses contain when the running back bounces, and Miami got gashed a few times because of that. But the amount of negative plays that Phillips had, or the amount of negative plays that his penetration allowed other players on his defense to get, those negative plays, compared to the number of big gains popped against Miami, were still far, far in favor of the Canes' defense. Now, those inside moves didn't just work well against the run though, because he had a deadly inside counter as a pass rusher as well. Every single game you would see him beat tight ends and tackles and guards, whether inside counters or even just winning on stunts where he would loop inside. And again, because he's so fluid and such a good finisher when turning the corner, either inside or outside mind you, he could redirect in the backfield and close down lanes of escape before quarterbacks could even react. Plus, because that inside counter swim was so good and tackles were so afraid of both that and his cross chop and swipe moves around the edge, he had enough variety to his game as a pass rusher that tackles could never really guess what he was going to do on a snap-to-snap basis. Take this series of plays from the Virginia Tech game as an example. On this first rush, Phillips hit the right tackle with a beautiful combo to jab step inside to try to freeze the tackle's feet, and then he stepped wide with a cross chop move to neutralize the tackle's outside hand so that he couldn't catch him going around the edge. Jalen then finished with a really nice dip and almost got a sack out of it, but the ball was out too quickly. This was a textbook cross chop move, which is a combo that I've broken down quite a bit on this channel before with other players, so I won't bore you with the details on it again. But what I really want you to take from this is now look at what he does 2 plays later after that successful cross chop to really mess with the tackle's head and win on an inside counter. This is the same alignment, the same jab step to the inside, but this time Phillip fakes the outside step like he's going for that cross chop again. The tackle mirrors it outside as well because it all looks the same to him, and now look at where we're at on that second step. Phillips has this tackle right where he wants him. He's wide and way too overset. He's giving a soft inside shoulder. All Phillips had to do was just plant that left foot, grab the tackle's inside hand to neutralize it, get skinny, and finish with an arm over inside, and there's the sack. This move was entirely set up by the win on the cross chop a couple plays ago, and it paid off with a huge negative play for the defense. This is what true pros do. It's not just about winning with talent, it's about winning with smarts. All of the best rushers in the league, the Watt brothers included, have a lot of clubs in their bag at any given moment, and they can use as many or as few of them as they need to get the job done, and Phillips is the same way. He can beat you in so many different ways that it's really hard to prepare for him effectively. But even though he is really hard to game plan for, that doesn't mean that it's impossible. No pass rusher other than maybe Aaron Donald is truly impossible to plan for after all, and there have been a few blockers that did have some success against Phillips, at least temporarily. However, I think the reps that he did lose against those tackles actually in a weird way kind of ended up highlighting what is the best part of his game to me. And that is how he lost to certain techniques or traits and how he adapted all of his own technique to adjust to those tackles so that he could beat whatever they were doing to slow him down. A perfect example of that, in my opinion, was the Clemson game. The right tackle, Jordan McFadden, had some legitimately great reps against him, and Phillips struggled to beat him for the first half of the game. But eventually he did figure him out, he adapted, and he went right back to kicking ass by the end of the game like he normally does. Take these 2 reps that were within the same series, for instance. I'm not sure if Phillips was going for another cross chop here, or a swipe, or like a fork move or something. It's really tough to tell, but either way, McFadden wasn't letting him get anywhere because he has a really quick punch with his inside hand that was consistently landing before Phillips could make contact himself, and that first punch was blunting damn near every move that Phillips had in his arsenal. To me, it kind of looked like Phillips's problem was that he wasn't used to seeing an inside punch that was that quick and that accurate like McFadden's is, so he was having a lot of trouble with what's called distance management. If you're familiar with that term from maybe boxing or Muay Thai, it's the same general principle as it is in combat sports, just meaning how far you are away from your opponent so that you can reach them and land punches, but they can't reach you. Phillips was really struggling with that because of McFadden's quicker inside punches, and it was throwing off his timing a lot so that he couldn't land any combos, like on this rep where he got totally locked down. But later in this series, I found his solution to that distance management problem to be really indicative of how well coached and how well developed he is technique-wise. This is 3rd and 14 now, and watch how Phillips solves his issue with McFadden's quicker hands. He knows that he can't time up McFadden's punch to swipe it away before it lands, or at least not reliably swipe it anyway, so he leads off his combo this time with what's called a long arm move to ensure that no matter what, he is the first one to make contact and not the other way around. And then he uses that long arm move as like a timing mechanism for him to finally hit that chop move with the right timing and distance, and that chop neutralizes McFadden's outside hand so that he can dip and finish around the edge to flush Trevor Lawrence from the pocket. Oh, and by the way, please do notice just how freaky he is to turn the corner this quickly, redirect after Lawrence, and then chase him down from behind in full stride to force a fumble. That kind of speed and bend at that size is not normal, trust me, and it exemplifies just how freaky an athlete he is. But again, even that insane physical ability, to me at least, is still just a footnote for what's really important. And that's how he identified what a tackle was doing to beat his technique and devising a way to counter it with his own technique. This whole play, in a myriad of ways, is special for all the right reasons. Look, I just can't find anything wrong with this guy on the field, to be honest. He's big, he's long, he's quick, he's strong, he plays with incredible effort on every single snap, and he's an extremely well-developed technician to boot. There's just nothing to complain about here. I know some people might bring up his concussion history and that they're a little bit worried about that, and yeah, I mean, that's justifiable to a degree, but keep in mind, any football player can get hurt for good on any snap doing literally anything at any time. That is not a concern that is exclusive to Jaelan Phillips. Anybody can get hurt. If you are passing on an incredible talent that we know more than likely is going to be a great football player just because he might get hurt, that just kind of seems incredibly short-sighted to me. And to be honest, it seems like you're drafting to lose. Jaelan Phillips is an amazing pass rusher who compares favorably to some of the other best pass rushers that the NFL has seen in the last maybe 8 to 10 years. My advice, don't overthink it. Don't draft to lose, draft to win. If your team needs a pass rusher and Jaelan Phillips is on the board, just take him. I promise you won't regret it. Until next time, cheers. Thank you for watching this week's episode, and also thank you to our sponsor for the week for making this show possible, Raycon. You've probably already heard of them before because Raycon was co-founded by Ray J, and you see people a lot bigger than me like Snoop and Mike Tyson promoting them as well. But just in case you haven't already found them, the Raycon Everyday E25 earbuds are taking over the Bluetooth earbud industry because they're designed to be the best premium earbuds on the market that won't take your entire paycheck to get. They start at about half the price of many other premium brands, but they still have the same amazing audio quality with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, a metric shit ton of bass, and many customizable fittings for different ear sizes that won't fall out or compromise any of their noise isolation. Plus, the Everyday E25s come with a ton of different color options, so you can get whichever ones fit your personal style. And they even come with a 45-day return policy if you don't like them for some reason, so you can try them out and just see how you feel. I use them all the time when I'm out on the hiking trails near my house instead of my old normal iPhone headphones, and the fact that the E25s are wireless mean that they never catch on any passing branches or bushes or anything like that, and I'm always comfortable no matter what in any environment. If you're looking for high-quality Bluetooth earbuds that won't break your wallet, go to buyraycon.com/Brett for 15% off your order. Again, that is buyraycon.com/Brett down in the description below for a 15% discount. Again, thank you to Raycon for sponsoring the show, and with that, I'll see you guys next week.